Episode 166, that's 166 of Australia's number one marketing show. Strap in as I get a caning from a bored listener, I answer a tough question from a debt collector, and find out how one small business owner has managed to get 45 of her clients tattooed with her logo.
Welcome to the Small Business Big Marketing Show, where successful small business owners share their secrets to take your marketing to the next level. Now here's your host, Tim Reid.
G'day listeners, and welcome back to Australia's number one marketing show. I am your host, Timbo Reid, but you, so much more importantly, are a motivated small business owner ready to crank out some great marketing and grow that baby of yours into the empire that it deserves to be. We're brought to you, we are made possible by the very good folks at Net Registry. They help you get your online marketing sorted. Stuff like search engine optimization, keyword strategy, Google AdWords setups, website design development, all that. And in fact, they've just launched 3 new exclusive listener packages on their website and my website. You go to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, click on the Net Registry banner, and there's some really cool packages there. $99 package for SEO. There's a $99 keyword service package and Google AdWords setup for $150. So I'd be heading over there and tell them Timbo sent you. Now, a very big welcome to everyone at Flying Solo as well. We have got a rather large show. Now, as this show goes to air, I'm recording it now, like right now, because that's how it rolls. But I'll be in Italy as this show goes to air. A bit of a family soiree, is that the word? Don't know. But a bit of a family holiday. The Griswolds are going to Italy. And I hope to record a couple of episodes over there whilst I'm there, leaning on the Leaning Tower, or maybe just kicking back at the Colosseum. I'll see what marketing inspiration comes to me whilst I'm over there. But look, we have a big show today. I want to give a little bit of a wrap-up of a content marketing webinar that I ran this week. I want to give some feedback from a very, very bored listener. I've got a question from a debt collector, and I am going to have a chat to a lady who owns a gym in Canada who's managed to get 45 of her clients to tattoo themselves with her logo. Yeah, we've got a big show. So where do we start with all that? I reckon we go straight into this feedback I got from a very, very bored listener. You know, in fact, he is so bored that upon receiving this email from him, I rang him and we had a great chat. His name is Rolf Binder, and Rolf is a winemaker in Australia's Barossa Valley. And he's a long-time listener, and it's quite a long email, so I won't go into the detail, but there is a wonderful marketing lesson here. He says, "Greetings, Timbo. Have you got a deal for me? I can give you the normal, I am an avid listener of your show, blah, 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 but I won't. I'm actually writing this along with some other points to say that I'm getting a little bored with the format of your show. Call me crazy or unfaithful, but I've been listening to podcasts for a long time." He goes on a bit down, covers off some various other bits and pieces about his business and some podcasts that he listens to. Then he says, and this is great bit of advice that I give and maybe should listen to more often. Why don't you ask very long-time listeners what annoys them about the current show? It is almost a marketing mantra of keeping the story alive. Now, it's very timely because it is the end of the year. It's the end of 2013 almost. We've just entered December. And there is a discussion in the Small Business Big Marketing Forum about how to improve the Small Business Big Marketing Show and podcasts in general, what people like, what people don't like. So actually, you know, I am doing a bit of reflecting at the moment as to how to improve the show going forward, and got some really big ideas that I'm tossing around. So what I would love as a listener, if something annoys you about this show, maybe it's me. If you can see room for improvement, you've got an idea for a segment, whatever it is, send me an email, questions@smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, or head over to the website and you can send me a voicemail. Anyway, Rolf goes on to say, he's got an idea here. Red wine is the perfect elixir. And so what he wants to do is organise 12 bottles of red wine to send me to 4 capital cities. I'm trying to paraphrase this because Ralph's grammar, he might have written it while he was drinking a bit of his own produce. I think I'll read you what he's wrote. Red wine is a perfect elixir to do this. So I want to organise through you a small red wine think tanks in a few big cities to discuss amongst 15 or so of Timbos and Timbets. What is the way ahead? I'm willing to send 12 bottles of wine to each event in, say, 4 capital cities to get it started and to record the collective wisdom of the tribe. Now, I love that idea. I might take him up on it. Don't know. But thanks, Rolf, for that idea. But a bigger thanks for kind of forcing the question on me of what could I be doing better with the show and telling me you're bored. Now, I'm not going to go, everyone's bored with the show. I'm not going to get a kind of droopy bottom lip and kind of say that Ralph's the majority, but he's been listening for a long time, and I know many of you have, but there's also a whole lot of new listeners who come on board every week of every month. So I've kind of got to be conscious of that too. And on the other side of that coin, there is that whole thing that, saying to Rolf on the phone call today, some of those, like we tune into the news each night and we expect there to be a general news section, a sporting section, and a weather section. And that's the expectation. And as listeners and viewers, we like that. We like that familiarity. So there's that balance between setting a nice, consistent structure and challenging it every now and then. And that's what I'm going to go and do in 2014. Amp it up a bit, take it to another level. So, Rolf, mate, thank you so much for the feedback. Sorry to bore you. I'll send you back to sleep, mate. All right, now that we've got Rolf back to sleep, I have got a question from a debt collector, and his name is Russell. It's a great question, really, really good question. Firstly, he says, "Hey, Timbo, recently I got fed up with the company attitude of my employer and struck out on my own by setting up my own debt recovery agency. I know debt recovery inside out, and I am an expert in the field. I am not, however, a marketing and sales expert, which is where I can't thank you enough for helping me make up for my deficit of knowledge in this area." My pleasure, Russ. He goes on to ask, "One of the key things I have learned from your podcast is that I am an expert in my field. I should position myself as such via content marketing." Well, absolutely, Russ. Someone's got to. I think someone in every industry and every field has to put their hand up and say they are the expert. So it should be you. "My question/problem is that I am also known as a musician. I want to keep this side of my persona separate from my professional image as much of my music doesn't generally encapsulate the values and image I want for my business." That's interesting. So tough guy business, and maybe he's an opera singer or, I don't know, something kind of more dainty. "I have considered using a pseudonym. However, this doesn't feel honest, and using just my company's name doesn't seem personal enough." Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to use, you can integrate your company name into your content marketing, and you should, because that's your call to action, but you still want to use your own name, I think. "Do you have any suggestions on how I could position myself as an expert via content marketing while keeping this separate from the other endeavours I am involved in?" It's a great question, Russ, and I have thought long and hard about this, and I am not sure that you should, right? I think honour who you are, like basic human principle, be yourself. It's too hard being more than one person. That's the first thing that comes to mind. It's a great saying, if you don't lie, you don't have to remember what you said, right? So if you have more than one persona, if you're creating more than one persona, then you have to keep going back. Like, imagine if I had a different persona on this show to the persona that you see when you meet me or when I'm on stage giving a keynote. It'd be too hard. It'd be like, right, I'm doing the podcast now. Which persona which hat do I have to put on? Which costume, which mask do I have to wear? Way too hard, I think. Look at someone like Bono. Bono, tough guy, rock star, but he's an environmentalist. He's an activist. He's out there. He's just being himself. doing his thing. And, you know, you could be the Bono of the debt collecting industry. Yeah, look, hey, I'm off to ballet class after I finish recording this tonight, Russ. So, no, I'm not. That's just a joke. But I think, in summary, be yourself. I say this to my kids, Russ. I say, you know, like, guys, just be yourself. Other people want you to be a certain way. You know, you feel pressure coming from whether it be the media or your friendship groups, mum and dad. Just be yourself. Understand who you are. Be clear on your values. Be clear on your guiding principles. Be clear on your personality. And just be yourself. Whether that be in business or pleasure, social situations, I just think it's way too hard trying to wear a whole lot of masks. And sometimes it's, you know, you can't avoid, you know, not being yourself. But I think as often as we can, we should be ourselves. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. It's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but have the courage, put yourself out there as the debt collector that plays fancy music. Let's get stuck into today's interview. It's with Nicole Neuert from Chix for Chix. Nicole's based in British Columbia and she owns a martial arts kickboxing kind of gym set up over there. Now, let me explain how this interview came about. Over at the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook, where I share the lighter side of marketing, you can go and check it out, facebook.com/small business big marketing. I put up a photo of someone who had tattooed the logo of a Mexican restaurant on their arm. It was for the Casa Sanchez chain of Mexican restaurants, and they would have lost millions had they not capped the craziness surrounding this 1999 tattoo promotion that they had. So it was a while back, but it's always fascinated me, people who tattoo logos on themselves, like Harley Davidson riders and, you know, Nike logos and stuff. Back to Casa Sanchez, if a customer got a tattoo of their logo, they could eat there for free for the rest of their lives. That's why they could have gone broke. Owners didn't expect there to be such a huge response, which there was, and they quickly had to cap the number at 50. So then my question on the Facebook was, what kind of offer from a business would it take to get you to get tattooed with their logo? And had quite a few responses. And Nicole from Chix for Chix hit me up and she said, my customers, 45 by now, have gotten my logo tattooed on them because they love what we do. And I pay them to get their tattoo done. In fact, she's got a partnership, a relationship with the local tattoo parlour where her clients can go and get a free tattoo of her logo, which I think is really, really clever. So I was fascinated. I said, Nicole, I need to interview you. We had a bit of email dialogue, and as a result, here's the fireside chat I had with Nicole to find out just how do you get clients or customers to tattoo your logo on their body.
I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart.
Nicole Neuert from Chix for Chix over in Canada. Welcome to Small Business Big Marketing.
Thank you, Tim.
Absolute pleasure to have someone who's doing some pretty crazy marketing and a long-time listener of my show on the show.
It's a pleasure for me. Absolutely.
I love it. Tell me, before we talk tattoos, Nicole, tell us about what Chix for Chix does.
Well, it's Chix for Chix is a kickboxing school specifically for women. And it's been open for about 9 years, and I franchised it. So right now I've got 2 locations, and I'm about to open another one, hopefully in January. And it's the way it's structured and the way the class works makes it really, really different from most of the other places out there. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah, I imagine there wouldn't be any shortage of kind of places women can go to get fit.
Yeah, there isn't. There's a lot, but and there's not as many women only, but we still have there's a few. There's a gym called She's Fit. It's kind of like ladies' fitness where only women are allowed to go to and that kind of thing. But it's still a gym and it's still very, very different from what I do.
Well, it's interesting. Let's talk about that because I was only just before we went on air, I was inside the Small Business Big Marketing Forum having a discussion about Seth Godin's famous old book called The Purple Cow, or called Purple Cow, I should say. Are you aware of that book?
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, well, so it's all about finding your point of difference, standing up amongst the throng. How do you do it?
I think it's the personalizing it. It's the classes there's usually anywhere from like 10 to 30 people in a class. And a lot of the people, and this ends up going back to the tattoos, a lot of the women feel like it's almost like a second home. It's a place where they can go where, yes, you can get an amazing workout, but you can also have fun and you can get stress release. And it's like bonding. I've never before been in a place where women have actually bonded and been really nice to each other unconditionally. It's really neat.
Gosh, if Martians were listening to this, Nicole, they'd be going, what is this women race? Who are they?
Yeah, they're different.
Well, let's talk about, marketing to women, because I kind of feel that's where this conversation could go before we get into the tattoos. But, what's the trick to marketing to women?
Do you know, I when I first opened, I didn't have to market. It filled up so quickly that for the first few years, I didn't have to do anything. And so that was one of the reasons why I started listening to your show, because I needed to get some pointers on how to do it. And what I find in most marketing techniques that a lot of places use, especially gyms and stuff, is that they make women feel guilty. They say it's, oh, you're gaining weight. Are you fat? Do you need to get into shape? You need to come here. We'll help you out. We'll turn you into somebody hot. And I think that's patronizing, and it makes them feel bad. So right now it's mostly the marketing that we do is mostly, get in shape and have fun.
Did you launch Chix for Chix at a time when there weren't many places women could go and get fit amongst just other women?
Yes.
Right. So it was an unusual time in the market where you really found a product offering that actually filled a gap, and before the competition came along. I know that where I live in Melbourne, Australia, there's a chain of gyms called Fernwood, women-only gyms, and they too are really popular. Now they've got lots of competition.
Yeah, there's a fair amount.
So it's all about that second home thing, that personalising thing is really important to you. How do you nurture that? Is it just, I don't know, is it just something you've always done, or are there actually things that you really address in creating that experience?
For me, I try to make sure that I want to be friends with them. They're not just customers and they're not just clients. They're people, and they all have their issues. And the thing with Chix for Chix is that a lot of the women feel comfortable enough to break down, and cry if they're having an issue at home, or they feel comfortable enough that they can totally be themselves and nobody gets slammed for it.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's interesting, because one of the first questions I had for you is how have you built that for women? Let's talk tattoos. For women to go, and for anyone to go and get a tattoo of a logo on themselves, you are obviously building a very strong emotional connection with your clients. So when did the first client show up with your logo tattooed on them?
Well, there was a few of us that went and did it first. Like, I had initially designed my own logo, and it was a little rough. And a couple years in, I actually went to a tattoo artist, and I asked him to design a better version of it. And it has that kind of tattoo quality. And so there was a few of us. I think there was about 6 of us that went to get it done. We tattooed it on ourselves first, and then after that, the women were really interested in it. So I said, if anybody wants to get the tattoo, I'll pay for it. So I set it up with a tattoo artist that if anybody wanted it, and we're about up to 45 around now.
Wow.
And some of the women, in their 50s that have never had a tattoo before.
Love it.
Yeah.
So you actually, just to be clear, you had a logo that you designed, you weren't happy with it, you had a friend or a colleague who actually was a tattoo artist, but you thought, you didn't have tattooing in mind at that stage, but you thought this tattoo artist could improve on the logo that you had, yeah?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So then you've had an idea. Come on, girls, let's go for a night out. Get a tattoo of my logo on your body.
Yeah, you didn't really have to argue with anybody.
Really? No, there was no. Well, clearly you couldn't. It was like you can't force people to do that. But so that's 6, and now there's a bit of a club of 45. Quite amazing.
I was hoping to add my phone number to it as well, but I thought that was a bit much.
Well, funnily enough, the episode I put out today of the show is with a lady, Carmen, from a gym in Brooklyn, and I called her during the interview a call to action machine because her ability to put a call to action on any marketing touch point, and she hasn't, I didn't ask, but I don't think she's got anyone with her logo tattooed on themselves yet, but she would have. So maybe that's your next step, like phone number, address, website, email, social media links, go for gold.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Get the scan bar on there.
Do they get anything for for tattooing their logo on themselves?
No, just a free tattoo.
I love it. And tell me, how big? Is it always in the same spot? What size?
They can have it any size they want in any spot that they want. I just want a picture of it after they get it.
Right, okay. Tell me, what size are we generally talking and what location of the body are we generally talking?
It's usually about, I would say, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches and like 2 to 4 inches high. I've seen them on top of the feet, on the calf. There's one lady that had it behind her ear, on the neck.
Oh yeah.
On the arms. Yeah, I've got mine on the back of my arm.
With tattoos and with branding, how interesting. Just had that connection. When I talk about brand, I talk about it being an indelible imprint. In fact, in the dictionary, the definition of a brand is an indelible imprint, and that's when we're talking about stock, cattle. we leave the indelible imprint. So not dissimilar, huh?
No, not at all.
So these women are getting your logo tattooed on them. What's it actually saying? What is your business saying to them? Because they're not just doing it because they want to be a mobile billboard for you. They're doing it because it actually has some incredibly deep meaning. What is that meaning?
It's kind of hard to describe. My husband jokingly calls it a cult.
Yep.
And it is kind of like that. Like the women, I've had women that have been transferred and there wasn't a location where they were and they sat there and cried because they didn't want to leave. Some women have put off moving for over a year because they didn't want to leave. There's some kind of connection that the women get in there that everyone is really supportive of each other. And it's, if you know women at all, and I'm not trying to insult them at all because they're fantastic, but we're all raised to be insecure, and women tend to look at other women and feel, bad, usually for no reason at all. And there's something about the way we do the classes and the way the teachers interact with everyone that it's comfortable, and fit is different on everyone. You don't have to be super skinny. You don't have to see your muscles. There are women that they don't look underweight and they may not look fit, but man, they're fitter than anybody else in there. It's the amount of work that they put into it. It's being there and acknowledging what they're doing and how hard they're working, and always keeping in contact with them. So, and that's what Facebook is really, really good with that.
Right. Okay. So tell me how do you use your Facebook in the business?
Well, I've recently moved. So, I sold the last business that I had, and that's part of the franchise now. And so now I'm in Vancouver and I'm going to be opening up, and I'm friends with a lot of the women that were coming, and I keep in contact with them. And, it's even minor things like liking something or, even with the birthdays, thank God for the notifications, but, keeping you in their mind. Do you know what I mean? Making sure that they don't forget about you as well, because I'm not seeing them anymore.
Yep.
Making sure they'll like your Facebook page and constantly putting stuff up there. Just keep it, because if you don't do it, if you don't constantly have stuff up there, they get caught up with other things.
Yeah. Well, therein lies the marketing challenge of most small businesses. I call it noise, continually creating noise around your brand. And it doesn't have to be big noise necessarily. Constant Facebook updates, could be an ad campaign, could be some content marketing, could be an event you put on, all those kind of things. Just chip away. 1 and 1 ends up equaling 11.
Yeah, Exactly.
Now, listeners, I'm talking to Nicole Neuert from Chix for Chix in Toronto. Is that right, Nicole?
Vancouver.
Vancouver. Oh, gee, there's probably some massive rivalry there. In Vancouver, Canada, she has 45 of her clients tattooed with her logo. That is what I call emotional branding at its best. Now, Nicole, you were on Dragon's Den. We don't get Dragon's Den in Australia, and we don't get Shark Tank, I don't think, in Australia. Suffice to say that it's kind of a reality TV show where small business owners go up against a panel of venture capitalists asking for funding. Would that be a fair summation?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. You went on it. Tell us about that. How did you get on it? And tell us about the experience.
Well, you just go. It's kind of like a cattle call for acting. You show up at this place and you line up and you go in and make your pitch, and then they tell you whether you're allowed on or not. It usually takes about a month or so before they send you an email. And so we had to fly out to Toronto, and I brought some ladies from my class so we could do a demonstration. And they were. I don't have a TV, so I'd never seen the show before, and the stuff that I'd seen on YouTube scared the living crap out of me.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal.
Yeah, they were awful. So, all in the name of drama and television, right?
Yeah.
So we were out there for about a half an hour, and they edited it down to about a minute. And I'm very thankful that they were very nice. They were all exceptionally nice.
Well, you were kicking and punching and screaming. I've seen that minute, so they're probably fearing for their lives.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You went in there asking for funding to get the franchise for Chix for Chix up and running?
Yes.
So, good experience. Did you ever expect it to kind of get any traction, or was it because I reckon they would have looked at you, not that it was a bad business idea at all, but they would have looked at you and gone, oh, well, here's some good TV. A few ladies coming in, throwing some punches.
Do you know what? That's pretty much exactly what they said.
Yeah.
For the Dragon's Den and the Shark Tank, they want to make a lot of money really quickly. So we weren't viable for that. We couldn't make them a couple million in a couple months. Mm-hmm. So they weren't interested. We were told before we went out that, don't take no for an answer, do whatever you have to do. So they really want you to milk it.
You glad you did it?
Yes. Yeah, I'm glad. I didn't want to, but I am glad we did it. It's nonstop advertising. They're doing reruns all the time.
Right. And so what have you seen? Often when you do these little things, you kind of what you expect to happen doesn't, and what does happen you never expected. So what kind of things happened as a result of being on Dragon's Den?
Well, in the town that I was at, everybody knew who I was.
Good.
Yeah, and I still even after all these years, you still get people. I think it was 2007 that we were on it. Yep. There's still people that show up saying that they just saw us on Dragon's Den. So we actually get new members coming in because they saw it.
Amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Got to love that.
I was surprised.
So you are now you have launched the franchise.
Yes, the franchise it's up and running. It's, right now, I'm the sole owner, so it's a lot of work.
So you've got two they're all company owned stores really, because you got 3 stores now, locations.
Yeah, I've got 2 locations, one in Kamloops and one in Williams Lake, and I'm going to be opening up another one somewhere in the Greater Vancouver area.
You know what is going to be interesting? Because just hearing your story and this emotion that you're building between you and your clients, I'm guessing it hangs a lot on you. You drive that. You're the mother. You're the mother of Chix for Chix. And at some point, you're going to have to hand over that to a franchisee. And I've dealt with lots of franchises, and it's an interesting dynamic. You obviously have decided to go that way. Is there any kind of fear or trepidation around it?
No, I don't think so. It's the hard part is finding the right person to run the franchise.
So how do you do that?
Well, I think it's almost impossible to get 100% every time. The 2 franchises right now they're perfect. The women I have running them and that own them, I couldn't ask for anyone better. They're lovely, lovely women. And that's one of the big things is that, I love the women that come to my class. And I think every instructor should have some kind of emotional connection with their students. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's the same as you might as well go to the gym. we're there to push you, and we're there to help you out, and whatever it is, whether it's a diet that you want, some kind of meal plan, if you need help with, all kinds of technique, doing anything. But it's that individual connection and caring about the people that come in.
Mm-hmm.
And I absolutely love the women that come. They're amazing.
Yeah, well, it's just going to be really interesting to have that, to find those people as you get bigger and bigger. Maybe finding those first 5 may be relatively easy, but to control this incredible brand that you're building will be a challenge.
It will be.
But, you're up for a challenge. You're tough.
Absolutely. I'm all over that.
Good on you. All right. Well, now listen, I was just thinking, getting back to the tattoos before we wrap things up, I had a thought about what would your logo. It's an interesting question to ask all business owners. What would your logo look like if it were a tattoo? Because I was just thinking, how could you get other business owners listening to this show to encourage their customers or clients to get their logo tattooed on themselves? And maybe a first step is to go to a tattoo parlor and say, hey, listen, I know you don't do logos, but if my logo were a tattoo, what would it look like? And have them design it. Yeah,
absolutely. They can do some really beautiful work.
Yeah, well, tattoo art it seems to have a look of its own, doesn't it? Like it has particular design cues that other graphic design doesn't. So I'm going to do that for Small Business Big Marketing. That would be kind of interesting in itself. I've never been into a tattoo parlor. I might walk out with, an AC/DC on the buy or something.
That's awesome.
I'm going to do that. And part of me wants to say, listeners, go and get an SBBM tattoo on you, and I'll give you a free forum membership. But then actually, it actually feels like quite a responsibility. Do you feel a responsibility with 45 women having their tattoo on you?
Actually, I hadn't even thought of it. No.
Oh, maybe I'm just being chicken, but 5 years down the track and the show's kind of, I don't know where the show's going to be in 5 years' time. If people are wearing a tattoo of it, it kind of has to go on forever.
Well, and hopefully they decide they keep liking it instead of changing their mind.
Yeah, that's right. At some point, I just get all this bad publicity and they're walking along the street going, wow, you've got a Small Business Big Marketing tattoo on you. What's that about?
Oops.
Oops. Hey, Nicole, thanks for sharing. In fact, all this started because on Facebook, I shared that Mexican restaurant over in the States that ran a competition, and it went nuts. You got free Mexican for a lifetime or something. But and then you hit me up on the Small Business Big Marketing Facebook. So thanks for doing that and sharing your story. Good luck with your franchise.
Thanks for having me. Thanks very much.
I've got you under my skin.
God, I can't sing. Really annoys me how I'm tone deaf. Anyway, I shall persevere with that. Actually, I meant to ask my family to give me singing lessons for Christmas. Completely forgot. I digress. What a wonderful story, and what an interesting marketing strategy. Normally, I'd sort of give you 3 learnings I got from that fireside chat, but I want to give you a question instead, because it has raised a question in my mind that I think we should all ponder as motivated small business owner. The question is this: how can you become a critical part of your clients' lives? All right? Big question. And you might say, oh, well, I own a takeaway shop. I can't become a critical part of their lives. I think every business can become a really important part of their clients' lives. You just got to figure out how. So have a think about that. And if the answer comes to you, then come over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com and share it with me via an email. But go ahead and answer that question. How can you become a critical part of your clients' lives? As you know, do you know? I don't know. That's a massive assumption. It assumes you've been listening to the last few episodes. But if you have, you'll know that I ran a Content Marketing Accelerator webinar just this week. And I got a laugh, just going back to Rolf Binder's earlier email. He'd be asleep by now, so he won't hear me talking about this because he's bored. But he says, I am sick of content marketing. It is all that everyone bangs on about at present. Yeah, well, I'm going to talk about content marketing for a minute. Can't help myself. Look, it is, I did run the webinar this week. I want to give you some key points that really kind of piqued the attention of the 63 people that were on the webinar, and it may help you kind of get your head around it. And the reality is, yes, content marketing, Rolf, has been a buzzword in 2013. Mate, I've got to say it is a marketing imperative for 2014. I think it is a way of creating a huge point of difference for the small business owner that chooses to tackle it. Some of the points that really hit home during the webinar, and I'm not going to rattle on about it, I just give you the sort of the 15, 20 second précis, but I think you got to think like a publisher. You got to create the media, not rent it, okay, going forward. I shared on the Content Marketing Accelerator webinar 7 ways that you will never, ever run out of content. Some which really blew people's minds seeing some of the chat that was coming back during the webinar. So shared that, taught people how to get clear on their editorial mission, which you've heard me bang on about. And the big one, lean in. You've got to lean into this. You've got to commit to it for the long term and really become prolific in creating wonderful content that makes your prospects, makes your customers look intelligent, feel intelligent, and they will reward you with their business and their loyalty. I want to share a little bit of feedback from some people who were on the Accelerator program, and then I'm going to tell you how you can grab a copy of that webinar. So this first bit of audio is from long-time listener and one of the members or one of the people who were on the webinar, Tristan Lovell.
G'day, Timbo. It's Tristan here. Just wrote you an email as feedback from the webinar. Just wanted to say a vocal message saying it's fantastic, really enjoyed it, and it's exactly what you said it would be, a fantastic lead up to next year. So over Christmas, going to build momentum and get onto the content marketing train. Certainly was covered in gold afterwards, so I had to have a bit of a shower and nice and refreshed, ready to go for massive 2014. Thank you. Bye.
Hey, thanks very much, Tristan. Really appreciate your support, mate. Now, I also got an email from a long-time listener, Laurie Williams, who was also on the Content Marketing Accelerator webinar. And this email touched me. I want to share it with you. I don't know, it might be self-indulgent, but there's learnings in everything, I reckon. So Laurie says, "Hi, Tim. I think I found out about the webinar from you. I actually signed up for the live class you were hoping to run that had to be cancelled. I was going to present that whole content marketing thing as a live day. I got my timing wrong. End of the year, feedback was that too many small business owners were getting ready for the Christmas onslaught, so I got it wrong." And he says, "I was very impressed at how promptly you refunded my money. It was $795, I think, from memory, or $695, something like that. I don't think everyone would have done that." Oh, Laurie, you got to do that. Well, I mean, to me, it's an obvious thing to do, but thanks for acknowledging it. Regarding the webinar, it was great. Anyone who didn't get their $77 worth must be pretty stupid. Wow, fair enough. It was great value and would have been great value for 2 or 3 times that, in my honest opinion. A lot of the info offered was not totally new to me, but that doesn't mean I didn't benefit from hearing it again. That's a great point, Laurie. You know, sometimes we've got to hear things 3, 4, 5 times in order for it to sink in. That's why we see TV ads, multiple times, 10, 20, 30 times. That's why we get the same catalogs, the same brands sending us catalogs week in, week out into our letterbox. Frequency works. Back to Laurie's note, limiting beliefs, inertia, slackness will still mean that not everyone who attended the webinar will take action, but none of them can use the excuse of not knowing what they need to do. Mate, action Jackson. Action is everything. I'm going to keep saying it into 2014 as well. The common link between all the successful business owners that have come on the Small Business Big Marketing Show is they've been willing to take swift action. They do things, they get it done. If it's not right the first time, they keep trying until they get it right. Action is so important, Laurie. He then goes on to say, Timbo, I love this line. Timbo, you are either a genuinely good guy or a great actor. Your passion for the subject is contagious and your desire to share the love and help others is to be commended. That touches a nerve, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't even talk about that because it's kind of, it's nice. Just a nice thing to say. What can I say? Oh, mate, I interviewed a guy this week. The interview will go out in a couple of weeks' time. His name's Mike Johnson, and he's the world's leading drum teacher. And he has a website where he shares all his drumming knowledge, just like I have a website that shares all my small business big marketing knowledge. And he says he wished he'd had this info when he started out, meaning the info that he creates for other drummers. And likewise, small business big marketing is the info that I wished I'd had when I was starting out. So, Laurie, I guess that's why it touches such a raw nerve and why it pleases me to hear what you say so much, and why I want to share it with you, because if we create stuff that we want ourselves, then boy, oh boy, you're going to get it right because you're solving other people's problems, and that's what marketing's all about. I am banging on. Enough of that. That was the content marketing webinar. But if you want a copy of it, you weren't obviously on it, head over to the smallbusinessbigmarketing.com website, hit the products button, and you can grab a copy of it. Not for free, because people paid to be on that webinar live and ask questions as we go. But you can buy it online at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com. Head over to products. It is going to be priced, I can't remember what I put it at. I should know off the top of my head. It was either $47 or $57. All right, so head over there and grab a copy and see what the excitement's all about. That would be a wrap, I reckon. Plenty of marketing gold coming up over the coming weeks and months. I speak to a council worker that started a TV show, and a really successful TV show promoting a suburb, would you believe? I am also speaking to a fella who turned a fledgling computer business into a $580 million juggernaut. I'm also speaking to an outsourcing expert. We're going to have that conversation about the tired business owner who needs to get off the tools and outsource more so they can get more done with less. And I will be doing my 2013 wrap. Things that turned me on, turned me off, and just have a bit of a reflect on the year that is about to finish up. So I know that when I did that last year, it was well received. I'm going to do it again this year, and it will be probably done from a little cafe in Rome or Florence, maybe even Venice. How nice does that sound? Gee, I'm looking forward to getting away. Or, well, as you hear this, I am away. So anyway, team, loved sharing all this marketing gold with you. May your marketing be the best marketing. See you next time.
You've been listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show with Tim Reid. Want more marketing goodness? Then visit smallbusinessbigmarketing.com.